Hello, welcome. This is Randi and Kennah, and they're part of the Evergreen family and have been involved in a couple ministries at Evergreen. Hi, Kennah. Hi, Randi. Welcome to this interview. Who are you guys? What do you do for work? How long have you been coming to Evergreen?
Okay, my name is Kennah. I'm an assistant administrator at some skilled nursing facilities, and I've been going to Evergreen for 3 years now.
And I'm Randi. I'm a quality engineer at a medical device company, and I've also been at Evergreen for 3 years.
Okay.
Came together.
and you guys are together. And
yes.
How long have you guys been together?
A little over 3.5 years. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you've gotten over the honeymoon hump a little bit. The guys are probably arguing a little bit more.
Yeah. Today, so
fighting is a sign of intimacy. I like to say means that you feel comfortable enough to share your true feelings.
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that you guys like to do together?
The biggest thing I think is like traveling. We really like to travel, be adventurous. We were supposed to go to Japan for like over 2 weeks in March, and that got canceled. But
yeah, it's a bummer. Yeah, and then we like doing outdoor stuff too, like camping, biking, things like that. Like trying new food.
Yeah, going to restaurants.
Yeah.
How did you guys come to Evergreen, and why did you decide to stay?
So I first heard about it at the Reformation Project in Long Beach around like 4 years ago. And then heard about it again from Kenny at one of Ed Oxford's party at his house. And when it was time to leave our old church, this was the first church that we had checked out. And we just ended up staying. We initially came for the open door. But we ended up liking other things too. So
yeah, we heard about the open door, but we were looking for a new like home church. So we went to service and everything and just kept coming back. And I think for both of us, we enjoyed that there were like families there and like mixed culture, and it did really feel homey to us, and people were friendly. So that definitely, it was easy to like integrate into the church, which is sometimes kind of hard. So, and then they offer food, I mean, like most of the time, so
it's always really good too.
It's a big incentive.
Yeah.
And Kennah, you've been a part of the worship ministry. Is that something that you've always connected to as far as like how you serve? And
yeah, so I think if I wasn't allowed to serve on worship, we wouldn't still be at Evergreen, because that was like one of the harder things, was to find a church that we were both able to serve in, because a lot of places have different rules and stuff for faith level. So
what do you value most about Evergreen?
For me, I think it's their willingness to talk about social justice issues, and being able to share everyone's like own opinions, but also choosing to love each other anyways. And also at the bare minimum, like I'm thankful that we're able to be a part of the family. Whereas at our other church, we were kind of treated like second class in what we were allowed to participate in.
What I thought of was like, I value that it's somewhat a representation of my own family. And so to me, it felt like that, where it's like warm, and we do have this like aspect where maybe not everybody is on the same page with different stuff, but like still inviting us in. And they've like proven that they're going to show up for us. And so the kind of like feeling it like it's my own family is really something I value about the church. Yeah.
How does that look? Because I know that for a lot of families, I mean, on whatever issue or thing, we don't always agree. And that's sort of what we're going for as our theological framework and our model is that the family is not always a place where people agree on everything, but we still show up to Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving potlucks together, and we choose to love each other and respect each other and embrace each other, even if, like, you know, we don't all mark off all the check boxes. Like, how does that work in your family? Like, are there people that are not affirming of the both of you, or are they, like, I guess, like, you know, what do they think about LGBTQ Christians, and how does that work?
So my family is pretty conservative, I would say, and like politically and like their Christian beliefs. But I think one thing they do really well is like love people despite maybe their history, how they look, their sexual orientation, their skin color, different things like that. I think they do a good job of just loving people in general. And so I think most of my family, especially the generation, my parents' generation, is not affirming, but like Kennah has been included in holidays, in family reunions, like she's never been excluded from something, I don't think.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. It was like, it's weird because I do see that our relationship, while it's not like hated, I guess, it's not necessarily celebrated in the same way. So there is kind of like a little like tension there where I can see the difference between me and maybe my brother, or like how my cousins have been celebrated in their relationships, and how I feel like I always had to ask him, can I come to this and that, like kind of in the beginning, but yeah, I just feel like I had to like tiptoe a little bit more, and it wasn't just like, yay, we're so excited you're in a relationship, like when are you guys getting married, like all this stuff that normally kind of happens. But I mean, regardless, I think like when we're with my family, when we're even with some of our friends that are that we know are not affirming and stuff like that, they were treated no different than any other person. So to me, that really just shows that like people can support you and show up for you in big ways, despite maybe having this difference. I never want somebody to compromise their honest convictions. I prefer like people like actually put in some work and do question things and stuff. But at the end of the day, like I can't tell you how to think if God is putting this on your heart, because that's not up to me, you know. So as long as you show me through your actions that you care about me, then I'm okay with that. And I think too, that's like some of what we've experienced at the church. Like, yeah, we don't know who's necessarily on our side, but like we haven't seen people not show up or not like care about us. So that's comforting.
Yeah. Kind of like Randy, like it's mainly my parents' generation and upwards who I have like a hard time with. And yeah, I mean, it's gotten easier because they've been trying, which is a lot more than how it was in the past. So that means a lot. Randy's invited to most things. I do have to tiptoe, and there is that there is that tension around my brothers or my sister's partners, where they're like elevated, and then with Randy, I'm like, so can she come? Maybe, please. So I mean, it's a work in progress. It's hard. It's hard. It's getting better, I think.
I hope you guys feel that no matter everybody at Evergreen, no matter, you know, if they consider themselves affirming or non-affirming, that you feel like they're showing up for you, that they're, they love and embrace you. I mean, kind of similar to a lot of our family situations. With family, it's like you're stuck. You're stuck together. So you're like, well, there's only so much. There's only so far I can go, and then I gotta realize like we're related. And man, sometimes that's disheartening because you're like, I can't believe I'm related to you. And we share some of the same genetic code. But I think that's what I want everybody to feel is like we're family. Too bad we have to be. We're going to be together for a long time. Like you said, it's a work in progress. It's never going to be, it'll never be perfect on this side of heaven. It'll always be. It'll always be kind of stumbling forward together. But if we do it together, then maybe it can get better. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. That this is a place of transformation. Randy, I've seen you and your mom sitting in service, and you and your mom are watching Kennah as she's rehearsing for service, leading worship on stage. Mm-hmm. And if your family's, comes from a more conservative background, like, how did that happen? How did she decide, like, okay, I'll go with you to church? Was it her idea? Was it you pushing her? Was it a little bit of both? And then, how did we get there? Because that's like the image that I have in my mind of like, oh, that's what we're going for. It's not, it's the simplicity on the other side of all the complex discussions, but just like in the end, this is a family, and here's a family before my eyes that's like embodying what I hope is that there's non-affirming and affirming people together, and we're just like, we're worshiping together and acknowledging who each other is without like having to like necessarily change all our convictions to one thing.
Whenever my mom would come down to visit me, we would always go to church. So she came down to visit, and it was going to be, I don't know if it was her first time there or what, when you were playing, but yeah. But I really wanted her to come to church because I wanted to be like, see, this is a real church too. Like, I know it's probably a lot for me to be like, hey, I'm gay, and then this and that, but I'm still going to church. She's probably like, what's this crazy church? But so I wanted her to be able to like, see the church and experience it and everything, and like show her like it's not crazy that like a church could, like accept us and things like that. So that is a really cool experience for me too, to like be next to my mom, or like there have been times when like my best friend came too, and it was just like a cool picture to me as well, that like we're standing here together, like worshiping the same God in like the same way, and this works. I think that my mom does, while still being non-affirming, believe that queer people do have a place in the church. And there have been times when Kennah hasn't been allowed to play for events at our old church, and I've told my mom about that, and she's like, that's not right, and even some of my friends too, they're like, that's not right. Like we are Christians, and they do view us as Christians, even though they might struggle a little bit with like, I guess the holiness of the relationship. It's encouraging to have my mom's support and have the support of other people too. And I think it does paint a pretty cool picture of like what the church should be, really, with all of us standing next to each other. So yeah.
And another thing, none of our relationships are that holy, so I don't want to go down that road, because there's nothing but we don't want to, that opens up a whole can of worms of like, let's look at everybody's relationship and like, no, I don't want to do that. What do you hope for Evergreen in the future?
At some point we do plan on getting married, and it would be cool if we could know that like the pastors at Evergreen could marry us, because we've run pretty close to a few of them. We've come to really respect all of them,
Yeah.
and it would be cool for at least to have the option to have them a part of it, allowing pastors to choose whether or not to marry a couple, regardless of their orientation. It really opens the church up to be inclusive to like the LGBTQ plus community, and so it's very important because there's a lot of hurt specifically from the church in that community. So we could be one of the exceptions, be a healing place, like how it was for me, or I think a lot of other people too.
Right now there is like this one last kind of limitation, and it's just sort of a reminder that we're not quite there, or like we're not quite accepted, you know, not fully.
Yeah.
I don't know, we are as people, you know, but there's just still a limitation on our acceptance, sort of, our level of acceptance. And so I think that just like taking this last step and fully being able to like celebrate our relationship would be very ideal for the future of the church, and
for us.
Yeah, and also to just seeing a future where we all continue to commit to being a family, regardless of where we might land after this. So just like you're saying, even though we're always going to have sort of struggles and whatnot, like we are committed to this, and I'm not going to leave because I'm mad at you or whatever, and we're going to try to, you know, do our best to work it out, because we are. And finding a church where you feel at home is, I think it's challenging, and so I don't want to give up a place that I feel home. So I just hope that the people around us continue to commit to being our family, and yeah.
That's what we're trying to do. Thank you for doing this interview and for your service and for your presence here at Evergreen. We appreciate you guys. We love you. And I'm very hopeful that our future together will be really bright and beautiful. Hard because, like you said, it's a journey. But I think the best part about the journey together is just being together. Like, you know, so